Hi, this is Anna Imagination with the Healing Garden, and welcome to Shifting Perspectives. Good morning. So, this is going to be a very delicate, this is intricate. This conversation is going to be very intricate. So, we're going to cover, I'm still trying to figure out how to lay it all out in my head because one of those topics that's never been discussed before. When you, this is common with narcissist abuse syndrome. This particular issue is common with people who are not used to setting boundaries. In fact, this is such, there's my book. There is such a, oh yeah. Almost everyone who has suffered from narcissistic abuse syndrome goes through this. This is the trademark of somebody who goes through not being allowed to use boundaries. When you are talking to somebody, there is not the truth between the two of you. That is not the case. There is your perspective and there is their perspective. So you have to start right off two separate perspectives, and there is you and there is them. And there's going to be, I'm going to show you what this looks like on the inside. And then I'm going to take you onto the outside and show you what it looks like on the outside. So on the inside, this is what it looks like. You're feeling great. You're feeling really good about yourself. You started to go through some therapy and you understand that you have to defend yourself. And you're feeling angry now. You might get little pockets of anger where you feel like you're riled up and you're ready to go to war for yourself. And you might keep it in check. And then you decide to express yourself. Express yourself is very much a huge part of this process. You go and you express yourself, and then you show other people or you explain to other people how you expressed yourself, probably because you're in a good mood and you're just on this massive high. And then the people who are closest to you, the people who love you the most, and the people who have abused you the most, lash out at you and they mock you, they laugh at you, they ridicule you, they tear you down, they scream at you and call you stupid. And then what immediately follows is a period of self-loathing on yourself. And it almost always begins with the phrase, I should not have. So then you recoil, you hate on yourself, you focus all of your hate on you. You regret, you feel guilt, you feel shame. You replay the incident over and over. You immediately think, I hurt them. And you get caught in that loop of, I should not have. I have hurt them. I'm so selfish. I'm such a terrible person. You are caught in what I call a narcissist loop. And this is the problem. Now, I'm going to show you the exact same situation. The only difference is I'm going to expand you out and show you what's really happening. That is your perspective locked inside of this narcissist loop. But this is what's going on the outside. You have decided to embrace self-expression. You go off and you decide that you are going to be an individual separate from everybody else. The narcissist does not like that. So when they see that you've lashed out and gone off and done your own thing, it is a deliberate reminder to your abusers and the narcissists that you just conducted self-expression. This is going to piss them off because they don't do self-expression. They're jealous, they're angry, and they lash out. The lashing out comes out in two fashions. They mock you. They make fun of you. They take your moment of victory, and instead of congratulating you in your moment of glory, they rip you down and they tell you how terrible they are. They conduct name calling. They make fun of you. They make you feel like shit and then make you feel like it's your fault for you making you feel like shit while they are mocking you, while they are name calling you. You go to perhaps a parent. You show your parent what you did. And your parent turns around and calls you stupid, calls you names, tears you down, and then makes you feel shitty about you not doing what they wanted. No one is ever stepping back from this scenario to say, why is name calling okay? And why do they have all the rights and I don't? Why do they get to make all the judgments and I don't? No one ever stops to question their behavior. Only yours is questioned. It's this concept that there's only one perspective between the two of you, and it's the perspective they have is lorded over you, and that your own perspective does not matter. It's abused, it's ridiculed, it's made fun of. At a time when you should be celebrated and glorified and cheered on, they rip you down and they make your victory about them. And then they punish you by ignoring you, by neglecting you, by throwing you away. And what this ends up doing inside of the empath's head is, I messed up. I'm horrible. I upset them. That's the most common one I hear is, I upset them. And if you step back from that for a minute and just look at that, you upset them? How? Rationalize it. Work it through your mind. How did you offend them by you doing your moment of self-expression? And when you really sit down and start to pull it apart, now you're going to have a lot of feelings. Those are actually emotions. You're actually going to have a lot of emotions from your guilt center. And this is where the guilt has completely taken over. There is your guilt system that's at work here. This is 100% a rogue guilt system. And narcissists plug into the guilt system and they deliberately poke at it and rise it up. And it takes over your mind. And suddenly your moment of self-expression and your moment of victory is made about their guilt. They are making your victory about themselves. So you go off, you do something amazing for yourself, and the narcissist parent turns it on about themselves. Oh, you've done this? I'm going to make it about me now. Oh, you've done this? We're going to talk about how it has affected me. And in point of fact, it has not affected anybody at all because it's not about them, because you are not about them. It is literally taking you and making you all about them when you're not about them. You are about you. It is literally a fight and a battle over your identity. So you turn to a supportive friend, showing them, look what I did. The supportive friend tears you down, mocks you, laughs at you. That's not a supportive friend. That is somebody who is hurting you at a time when you're vulnerable, and they are hurting you at a time when you rely on them the most. And when you are in this, especially early therapy, when you are in the stages of early therapy, when you are in the early stages of self-discovery, you're going to want to share your victory with other people. And this is where it gets to be a really ugly reality. 99%, if not all of the people in your life at this point, are not on your side. They're all your abusers. Even the ones you love the most are your abusers. They're not there to cheer you on. They're there to pull you into their garbage. So that when you work out, when you get out and you start to make your way out, they're just going to pull you back in. It's going to get to a point where you're going to have to cut them out, because instead of improving or helping your mental health, they're tearing it back down. And that's where a lot of people yo-yo. What you are really doing is exiting the system. You are exiting your own culture. What you have at that moment, especially, and mind you, this is during your trauma grief. While you are in your trauma grief, what you are also doing is you are severing yourself from false relatives. False relatives are based on conditions: conditional love, conditional belonging, conditional living. And when you start to go through trauma grief, you are changing the conditions with which they will accept you. I'm going to say that again. When you start to go through your healing journey, while you are in trauma grief and you start to work on yourself, you are changing the terms in which they are going to accept you. You're going to lose almost everybody. Now, the good news is you will be able to get people back, and they will be people who are actually reflective of you, and they will be good people. And the best part of all of this is they will be people who are unconditional in their belonging and unconditional in their love for you. So you are going to be trading up. You are going to be getting into a better place. But where you are now in that trauma grief when you first start is not contingent of your growth. You are not in a growing setting. The people in your life are not about growth. They're about taking and abuse. So when you start to go through your trauma grief, you're going to start to see who's on your side and who is fighting you. And this right here, when you start to do self-expression and people you love attack you, that's going to be that red flag that says these are people who you never should have trusted to begin with. But you didn't know it. They were most likely attracting you and pulling you into their circle. You were in a state where you threw yourself at them because you wanted acceptance. The whole relationship is based off of a toxic dependence. You are absolutely codependent in this stage. And as you start to heal, you're actually breaking codependency, and the people you rely on the most for your support aren't going to be there, which is going to isolate you even further. And that's going to create even bigger trauma griefs, even greater spans of depression. And being realistic about this is the way out. Understanding the undertaking of what you're doing is the way out. You're going to have to leave people behind. There's going to be people who are suffering, who are biologically at a younger age, they're children, so they're going to have to stay behind while you grow, even though they want to come with you. You're going to have people who do see eye to eye with you, support you, love you, but there's going to be a perspective gap because you're growing and they're kept behind. And then there's going to be people who you wish they would grow with you. You love them, you have great memories, but there's the perspective gap happening. You're growing and they're staying behind. And the more that happens, the more you start to realize for a while, you are going to be absolutely alone. That's where the healing garden steps in. It provides you with a non-conditional family and unconditional love, unconditional belonging at a time when you are losing everybody. Because that's the reality of it, is you are going through some really horrific stuff and you're dealing with trauma grief and you're losing everyone who loves you and you're losing everything that you had, all because you have this massive, I'm going to take care of me now. I'm going to heal and get better. I'm tired of the pain. And all the people who've abused you are going to work really hard to keep you in that pain. And it's going to become a war. It is a war. It's between you and your loved ones. It's between you and your family. It's going to become possibly between you and your friends. It's going to become you and your abusers who are still in your life, who you didn't realize were abusers. You're going to find out that there's a lot of wolves wearing sheep's clothing in your circle. And that's going to come out. It's all going to come out because you are starting to break the looking glass. You are starting to look in the mirror of reality. And the more you look into the mirror of reality, you're starting to see exactly how bad the situation is. You're starting to see everyone as their true selves. And you're going to start seeing everyone for all the lies they've been telling you. And suddenly all the people who were your friends aren't. The people who said they were by you no matter what aren't. And you're going to step into this world of truth. And where you're standing now is not pretty. So you're going to be drawn in with this massive guilt where they make you feel like shit for violating their perspective. And then they're going to punish you for violating their perspective while denying you yours. There's no respect here. There's no love. That is not kindness. That's abuse. And it's going to be a really hard stage of this, is understanding as you watch friends that you loved and trusted go away from you. Do not turn inward on yourself, because you did nothing wrong. There's a moral compass inside each and every one of us. Make yourself define it. What did you do wrong? What did you do wrong? Did you hurt someone? Who did you hurt? And it will probably come down to they were depending on me. No one is supposed to be depending upon you. No one is supposed to be depending upon you. No one. That is not a kindness. That's not love. That is slavery. You just let your slave master down. And they're throwing a tantrum because their slave is being disobedient. See the mindset. And when we are conditioned in that kind of a mindset, guilt is their primary weapon. So to get you through it, be realistic. Absolutely be realistic. Self-care regimen. Ground yourself. You are losing your identity and you are losing your relativity. And for a while, you're just going to have your own identity, and you don't even have that. And that's the problem. It's why the healing garden is here, is to give you a stable, here's the beacon, here's what's right, here's what's wrong, here's what's good, here's what's bad, here's your identity. Put yourself in relativity to the healing garden, because there's unconditional love here, there's unconditional belonging. You are designed to change in this space. That's what this space is for. That way, while you're losing all of this stuff, you've got something solid you could hold on to. And that's what it's for, because you're going to need relativity. So keep the beacon, keep the garden. That's your relativity. That's your starting point. That's what you do when you grab a therapist, is your therapist becomes your grounding point. And then you become relative to your therapist. And your therapist becomes the archetype of the perspective. But the therapist is usually the ones who can see all the perspectives. So they can show you, you need to look in the mirror of reality again. Look in the mirror of reality. And you're going to keep looking out, and you're going to be like, okay, they told me this. Mirror of reality. This is what you're really looking at. Focus on the reality. And the reality is your truth. You have autonomy. You are allowed. You do not belong to anybody. If you love shit like this, like, subscribe, follow, share. If somebody you know could use this, comment below. Let me know what part of the show resonated with you. Donate to the garden, help the garden grow. And if you want to jump into DIY Triadic Healing, we have the DIY Triadic Healing, we have the integration workshop, and I do one-on-one consultations. All that information is on my link tree below. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.